The struggle and the win. Community college grant journeys. For many at community colleges, the road to securing a grant is a test of true grit. It's not just paperwork. The path is filled with hurdles unique to our setting, limited time, misaligned budgets, and the need to show real community impact. Yet time and again, staff and faculty find innovative ways to push through the barriers. Today, we're shining a spotlight on these stories where the obstacles were real, but the drive to succeed was unstoppable. Welcome to today's episode. I'm excited to introduce our two guests, both of whom play key roles in advancing opportunities for our students through grant-funded initiatives at South Florida State College. Emily Dabolt is currently the Executive Director of Institutional Advancement. She first joined SFSC in 2022 as a coordinator with a primary mission of rescuing and stewarding a $2.7 million U.S. Department of Education grant, the Heartland Pathways to Success Project, which ran from 2021 to 2023. Her leadership ensured that the grant not only succeeded, but also made a lasting impact. Joining us as well is Christi Bobo, who currently serves as the coordinator on a Department of Labor grant. She too came to SFSC with a similar purpose. Back in 2022, Christi was brought on as the coordinator of critical workforce needs to take the reins of the Panther Pathway Critical Workforce Academies through the Florida Department of Education. Collaborating with St. Pete and Daytona State College, this $2.8 million project began in January 2022 and wrapped up successfully in September of 2023. Both Emily and Christi share unique backgrounds of stepping in at critical moments to ensure that large-scale, high-impact grants delivered on their promises. Let's hear from each of you about your specific grant projects and the differences they've made. Emily, could you begin?
Thank you, June, for that great introduction. The Heartland Pathways to Success grant focused on expanding educational access and opportunity for students in our Tri-County area through resilient, technology-enabled courses and targeted dual enrollment offerings. Students now have more flexible options through high-flex classrooms, dual enrollment numbers have increased, and faculty have access to innovative teaching methods through the Center for Innovative Teaching.
Great, Emily. Thank you. Christi.
The workforce grant allowed the school board to implement academies in each of our serving districts. So we were able to start academies that would allow them to get certifications. At the end of those certifications, they could either join the workforce right out of high school or come to SFSC and begin programming to elevate those workforce certificates. So in the end, what happened is that the CTE specialists worked with our professors to align curriculum and create articulation agreements to service the workforce in this area.
So when you both started at SFSC, you faced big challenges. Can you share the first tough moment you faced in your grant journey? The obstacle that nearly derailed your efforts. How did it make you feel, and what kept you going? Christi, can you start on that?
The first major setback would have been that the grant started in January of 2022. However, as the grant coordinator, I was not hired until November of 2022, leaving only about 9-10 months to complete the whole project. And $2.8 million is a lot of money to spend in that amount of time. So I sat down with my PI and got a strategy of who the key players were that I needed to spend some time with just to understand exactly what the steps were and how to start a timeline that was that short.
Absolutely. That's a good start.
Similar to Christi, when I was hired to coordinate the grant, we were already halfway through the grant period. Time was literally working against me from day one, and honestly, I panicked a lot. I'd look at the deliverables and think, how is this even possible? So I just dug in. I broke everything down into daily goals and weekly deadlines, really granular stuff. because the big picture was too overwhelming, and I became that person who read and reread the grant documents obsessively. I'd go back to them constantly, making sure I wasn't missing some crucial detail buried in the fine print. And slowly, I started to see progress. One deliverable would get checked off and then another, and week by week, I could see we were actually moving in the right direction. Don't get me wrong, there were setbacks, plenty of them, but those small wins kept me going and proved that even when you're behind, you can still make it happen if you just refuse to give up.
You both started with major time obstacles. Many community college PIs say it's easy to get discouraged when plans don't go as expected. When you hit a setback, a major roadblock on your project, what steps did you take to regroup and try again? Was there support or advice you found especially helpful? Emily?
Setbacks. Oh, there were plenty, and they were constant. And learning to roll with those uncomfortable, out of control moments, that was probably the biggest learning curve for me. But I think persistence is everything. You can't just give up. Instead of saying, no, we can't do that, I'd flip it and tell myself, yes, we can. So here's a perfect example of that. Early on, I realized we needed a huge budget amendment before we could even move forward with our first major project. So I was trying to get a hold of my federal grant manager. There was no phone number to call, and my emails were going into a black hole, and the clock was ticking loudly. If I didn't get the amendment approved, we'd miss our window to purchase and install equipment, and the whole thing would blow past the grant deadline. 2 months go by, and I am starting to freak out. So I had to get creative. Some people may call this desperate, but let's go with creative. I knew the area code and the first 3 digits of the Department of Education's phone number, but I had no idea what the last 4 digits were to my program manager's office. So what did I do? I just started randomly calling numbers. I left 35 voicemails, hoping someone would call me back. And then finally, someone picked up. This super nice DOE accountant who was still working from home post-COVID. He was totally confused, like, who are you and why are you even calling me? But I explained the situation and asked if he knew my program manager. He didn't, but here's the thing. He was super impressed by my persistence. So he used their internal messaging system and reached out to her for me. Within 1 day, she contacted me. We got on a Zoom call, and 2 weeks later, the budget amendment was approved.
I'll tap off to that and say that when I started, we had consortium meetings. So we were not the lead grant office, and we had to work with 2 other state colleges to see this need through. So here I am coming in. We only have 9 months left. They've been meeting for 11 months, every month together, working towards this end. And then I come in with all my big plans. And I remember being told no, that I couldn't do something that I believed we could do. So you just have to keep saying please and ask nicely. I think staying positive in the consortium meetings is a key. You don't want to be that negative Nelly. You just want to have that happy-go-lucky attitude when you're trying to get what you want accomplished. I do remember that finally we were told yes. Yes, we could purchase a car. And then I had to leave voicemails and emails to our professors. I was also a newbie, and little did I realize that professors don't work during summer when there's a break. And this was the summer of 2023. So I patiently waited, thinking that we weren't going to meet our deadlines, but I did have a professor at the DeSoto campus, Phil, and he excitedly received my email and answered me back. And to know that he was able to spend time on his weekends searching for just the perfect car as our timeline was dwindling down. So I would say that staying positive and keep asking. If you know that you have something that is worthwhile, just keep doing the asks. And when you find somebody that is excited and comes along with you that wants the same things for your students in this case, it makes it all worthwhile.
So both of you shared that sometimes the struggle isn't just the paperwork, it's rallying the team, finding allies, or convincing others to see the vision. Studies from the American Association of Community Colleges shows that projects with strong team buy-in are much more likely to succeed. How did you bring others along when the going got tough? Did you have to motivate colleagues or community partners? And how did you build energy when things were stalled? Christi?
Well, for us, we were in a consortium, and then we supplied the money to the area district school system. So I had the pleasure of locating and finding and building a relationship with those CTE specialists at each of the districts. And then on our campus, I would say that at South Florida State College, we have something pretty special in that I was never given a shut door or given a phone that wasn't received. So I was able to go personally to whatever office on this campus and ask the needs. And most people here love our community and are willing to, answer any need they can. So I think buy-in is a big thing. I think being excited, the perspective and the morale that I created by just wanting it for others, that I think when you're excited about something, people want to come alongside you and be excited with you. And so even if they didn't understand everything and all the nitty gritty, they were willing to come alongside me for the greater good. And those CTE specialists in each district had to do the same within their school systems as they understood the bigger challenge. They had to do a lot of the talking. And I think for me, this was my job. This is what I was called into, my paycheck. For all of these people that you're working aside, it's just one more thing for their job. And to really own that, send those little notes, be happy when you're talking to them, go to them, don't expect them to come to you, I think really creates a culture for that winning team.
I can piggyback off what Christi was saying. Open, clear, and constant communication with project stakeholders was essential during stalled or low motivation periods. I made it a priority to keep everyone informed about both progress and challenges, which built trust and prevented people from feeling blindsided when obstacles arose. When energy started to fade, I focused on reconnecting people to the why, to circle back to the impact we were working towards and celebrating small wins along the way.
Great. But the journey isn't just about challenge. It's about sticking with it and finally seeing results. Wins can be big or small. Wins can be curriculum finally making it into the classroom, equipment purchases arriving and getting installed, meeting a single deadline, or a really good professional development session. Tell us about a moment when you knew you'd succeeded. How did that victory feel after all the struggle? What impact did the win have on your program, students, or the campus? Emily?
Well, there were two moments when I knew we'd truly succeeded. The first was when the Center for Innovative Teaching opened. It wasn't just a physical space. It represented a commitment to faculty development and student success that our campus had never had before. And the second moment was when the last HighFlex classroom was completely installed. Knowing that these classrooms were going to serve both in-person and remote students made everything click. This grant wasn't just about technology or infrastructure. It was about removing barriers and creating access to our students.
Yes, exactly. Creating access is what this grant that I was on was all about. We were able to create 16 academies out of the 3 district school systems that allow those students to either finish with a certificate and join the workforce or use that certificate as a stepping block to another certification or degree here at South Florida State College. So I would say that was a big win, those academies and those the relationships that I made or that South Florida State College made with our school districts, because I'm still piggybacking off of those relationships in the grant that I'm on today. So I would say that the small win was probably the moment that you went into a classroom and we got to talk to the students. We were able to go to DeSoto, for instance, to their high school and talk to their health science class. And those students got a chance to go around the room and tell us what an impact this grant made for them based on a lot of the students were still without housing and because they had just been through one of the hurricanes that we had. So I think that when you see that a 17-year-old kid gets it and knows the impact that this is making on their life and they're grateful for it, that's definitely the win.
And our last question for the day. For others who are still facing their personal grant challenge, stories like yours light the way. Real advice from those who've walked the path can make all the difference. What would you say to someone at a community college who's deep in the struggle right now, unsure if the win will ever come? Any lessons or encouragement from your own experience? Christi?
I would say find that one person. We all have people on our campuses that we gel with, that we just can go to their office and talk to them. They may not be in the same predicament. They may not have the same even audience in what their job is in their role, but something within your personality and their personality clicks and they want to see you succeed. So just getting their insight, going to that person. I think the little buy-ins, once you get one professor that is excited to have the opportunity, I know that happened with me and the professors, we were giving them money to spend on things for their students. And I could see that they were used to having to buy the sale items. I remember the first time the professor was like, I found these items that are used and we can get them from this. And I was like, no, girl, you get to spend, like, go for the brand new things. That's what this grant wants you to do. So that excitement feeds off. I think take the time, if you have to, at the end of the day, get out a notepad and write down 3 things that went well today. And that'll get you to look at it the next morning when you get there to start up. So I think it's staying positive any way that is for you, and find those cheerleaders, because everybody has somebody who wants them to succeed.
And to add to what Christi said, there were many days when it would have been easier to walk away or settle for something less, but I learned that every no I got was just information. It was feedback to strengthen my case. So if you are deep in the struggle right now, feeling like the win may never come, find a new angle, get creative, think outside of the box, and remember why you started. The win will come. Maybe not on your original timeline, maybe not exactly as you imagined, but if you stay persistent, stay adaptable, and refuse to accept we can't, you'll get there. And remember, it's possible.
Excellent, Emily. Thank you so much, Emily Dabolt and Christi Bobo, for opening up and sharing both the tough times and the triumphs of your grant journeys. Stories like these remind us the struggle is real, but it is worth it, and nobody gets through it alone. If you're listening and you're in the middle of your own grant challenge, know that persistence, teamwork, communication, and asking for help can turn obstacles into wins. We hope today's conversation inspires you to keep going, reach out for support, and believe in the impact your work can bring to our college and beyond. Until next time, keep striving and know we're cheering you on.